Hello, everyone, and welcome to something a little bit different. Recently, I was out at a friend's house for a while, and during that period, I asked if I could play some Gran Turismo 7. And so here we are. We're doing some daily races today. Starting off, you can see much quicker. The friend I was with, I don't think had done a single daily race before me here, so we're in the low end lobbies, and funny enough, I'm much quicker. With a first start, I didn't realise how short first gear was, so I hit the limiter for quite a bit. So as we head off the start here, actually under quite a bit of pressure from a Honda here at Blue Moon Raceway. Honda looking to the outside, isn't going to work on the outside line, and will be coming under threat from the second place car now after that poor start from us. And yeah, the Honda losing out to second place. And after that, we were able to pull away. Had some good pace. You can see lap times getting into the 114s. Had a 113.9 as seen earlier for the qualifying lap. But yeah, just pulling a nice big gap. Consistency fell away a little bit at the end of the race. But yes, first daily race, and it would be an easy win down at the bottom end of the lobbies. 5.5 second lead to win the first race. So let's cut through to the second race. Times would be a little bit closer in qualifying here, but we'd still have a little bit of a margin in the lead. And the first gear still catching us out of the start. That allows the orange Lambo to close in as we head to turn one. They're going to have a little look to the inside, back out of a move in the end, but I ran a little bit wide. That allows them to get back up the inside, bit of door rubbing as we head around the exit of the first corner and going into the infield here. We're going to go for a brilliant cutback. I must say that was perfectly judged and couldn't have been any better than that. And yeah, from there again we just pulled away. Again, getting another low 14.1, trying to push for to get into the 13s in the race here. As you can see, almighty gap this time. The cars behind were fighting quite a lot, slowing each other down, and see, by the end of the race we'd have such a gap. There's the checkered at the end. We would say another fastest lap at the end, but wouldn't be into the 13s. As you can see, nearly 15 seconds ahead at the end. Yeah, things were quite easy, it's to say. But as we head into the next one, we've gone up a little bit in the lobbies, and we no longer have the fastest qualifying. A mid 13.5 now has the fastest qualifying, a Lambo starting from pole. However, that Lambo wouldn't go anywhere from pole position. Another orange Lambo, this time a different driver, starting behind us. We get good launch again, and we get to our inside into turn one. They'd serve back out a little bit. I'd still be a little bit wide through turn one here, but not quite as wide. Just going to take a slightly defensive line, but then realise the Lambo isn't quite close enough. So pulling back to the racing line, but might be under a bit more pressure here. The pole sitters dropped back to, I don't know where, outside the top half of the grid anyway. But the Lambo's got a bit of a run here as we head towards the hairpin in the middle of the circuit. Isn't going to go for a move though, we'll hang back for now. As we open up a couple of car lengths here, you can see Lambo, maybe that it should have went for a dive, because as we come out of this little section, of being its only chance at this race. Lambo was quicker, as you can see. They did get the fastest lap this race, 113.4, much quicker. Would beat any of the qualifying times for this race too. We had a 113.7 best time that I'd done on this track so far between quali and the races. So I was definitely going as quick as I can. But yeah, very consistent, as you've seen there. 13.8, 0.7, 0.7. That's really what let us hold on to the lead and win the race by about 2.5 seconds in the end. We've got one more race here at Moon Bay. Starting on pole once again, but in a slightly higher lobby. Everyone with a D rating of the driver rating, if I'm recalling correctly there. Second place though, wouldn't have the launch on us this race. and so we would be entering turn one with the biggest advantage we've had so far in these races, and then second place would run wide and fall to third place. And yes, we just had the lead for the entire race from there. What I thought would be the most challenging lobby of the day, yeah, it ended up being the easiest, if anything. Only getting a 13.8 this race, a couple of 13.8s too. Struggling for not as consistent as last race. Yeah, as we come up to the line, another 13.8 on the final lap, and again 14.5 seconds winning that race. So 4 easy victories. We only had to make sort of one battle in that race, but a very good move, admittedly. But yeah, then we move on to race C for this week, which was at the Nürburgring Endurance. Looking on the grid, it'd be an absolute wash for the quality time, 20 seconds quicker than the fastest time. So this could be an easy start, but of course Nürburgring with its tight turn 1 is always a bit of a risk. So as we head down to turn 1, I'm just going to take a defensive line just to be safe, and then as we get onto the throttle, just going to spin the rear wheels up despite having traction control in this car, and despite it being a easy traction zone when you're racing normally. Yeah, I was really caught by surprise at that moment. So dropping to the back of the field after turn 1 here, it's going to have to be a difficult recovery drive, but 6 laps here for the Nordschleife, and we know that is over 50 minutes of racing, so this is quite a long race to go. There is going to have to be a pit stop, having a quick check of the weather radar. Nothing on the radar so far, but that does change a little bit later on. So as we're catching back up to the pack here, currently last 15th, we've got Porsche that has spun off to left hand side. That'll give us our first position. Quite a bit of battling in this pack. We've got Audi off on the right hand side. They're going to spin back onto the track. Luckily they ghosted as I was very close as we were getting alongside the McLaren, which we do pull in front of. Now behind BMW as we head up to the fast chicane. BMW's going to make a move on the Porsche. It's very slow through the chicane. We're going to get a run. We're going to look to the inside here. The Porsche's going to start coming in front of us. Then there's going to be this really weird lag moment. The Porsche ends up in the wall on the outside, and that puts us up to 11th, and we're going to be now behind the BMW, trying to get a better exit here. Get to the left hand side, we can't quite get alongside though, so we're going to have to follow into the section. It's going to be difficult to make passes here, and going to have to be careful not to just slam into the back of people. Taking a little bit cautiously here. The Chevy was in a bit deep. That backs the BMW up, looking for a move on the left hand side, but unable to get that move done as cars were moving around quite weirdly, I must admit. Through here, looking for a move on BMW. BMW just being slightly defensive, as the Mercedes already picking up a half-second penalty, going for some donuts on the grass, puts us up into the top 10 once more. But yeah, we're onto the back of the BMW, coming over the crest. BMW going oddly defensive for no good reason, and you'll see them run out wide onto the grass. Chevy running out into the grass, and a Porsche going for a spin as well. We'll put the right hand side of the Chevy. Wasn't entirely sure where the Chevy was placing its car, so we did kind of scrape past it, but luckily there was no effect from that, as we're coming into very difficult braking zone here. So we see 1 car, 2 cars off into the gravel, a Peugeot as well as a Lambo. That allows us to get into the top 5 now, as we're heading up to Vauxhall now. Can see a couple of cars in front fighting for P3. We've got a yellow flag out as well. A little bit late turning in for the left-hander at the top of the crest. Puts us a little bit wide onto the grass and instantly spins us into the left-hand side wall. So we're going to have to recover. You can see a lot of the time when after I come out for reverse, shifting up into second. Gran Turismo, one of those sim games that doesn't have neutral for you. So that catching me off guard a little bit, but we're behind this Lambo now for P7, trying to move to the right side, just sort of squeezing us off at the last moment. A little bit rude, but as we come here, we're going to have another yellow flag. Go look to the inside here and go for a move. It's yellow flag. not appearing on the screen despite being waved there, but then the Lambo is just got to rudely spin aside again. So at this point we just know we're behind one of these drivers. Not much that we can do at this point. But yeah, we're going to try and catch up. Luckily didn't lose too much time. That could have definitely ended much worse for us. The barrier straightening us up. You can see how much we're closing in through hit, miss, hit. Lambo getting onto the grass, but managing to hold on to the car through this section. As we've closed up once more. Lambo, a little bit of a gap through here. But I'm sure we will close in very shortly. And Lambo then very slowly through this left-hander, incredibly slowly, and incredibly slowly through here again. I don't know if they were turning right there to try and take us out, but anyway, they were somehow ghosted and got back in front of us, with us getting a 2-second penalty. I don't know Gran Turismo logic. It's stupid, apparently. Anyway, the Lambo's going to get caught up behind this Chevy who was going slowly, recovering from a crash, which is then the Chevy's then got a little slide. I really don't know at this point. Either way, we're going to get past 5th place, but maybe not a great place to take the position here, as the Chevy is going to have the slipstream up the hill. But once we get to the left-hander, quick left-hander here at the top of the hill, I think we'll be able to gap both of the cars behind. The Lambo's already looks like it's fallen back a little bit. The slipstream, not very powerful, obviously, through here, and then through this left-hander, taking a lot of commitment. Chevy behind getting onto the grass despite not carrying as much speed as we did. They'll fall back a couple of car lengths and will see us through safely. BMW then has found the wall here at this right-hander before the carousel. That puts us up into 4th place now by 6 seconds behind the next car in front, which we will catch up to through the technical section of the track. We do have that 2-second penalty that we'll have to serve soon. We'll try and look to the right-hand side through this twisty section. No space there, very awkward to make a pass there. But as we come through this section, we're just going to look to the inside and send it down the inside. And yeah, the Nissan Skyline will be a little bit wide on the exit. And then we're going to try and push as much as we can through the next couple of corners. Very important here, as we are about to serve the 2-second time penalty. If you don't know, Gran Turismo 7, it has slowdown zones, where penalty lines that act as slowdown zones. You'll be forced to not just lift off the throttle, but brake quite heavily for as long as your penalty lasts. So as you can see, we brake quite heavily. We were about 240 or 250 kilometers an hour when we started slowing down. We slowed down to 150 kilometers an hour. As you can see, we're having to speed back up. So we've lost a lot of time from that. We've lost over 5 seconds. I imagine it's enough for the Nissan to come back past us. Only now have we actually accelerated up to the speed that we were before we started braking. Never mind what speed the other cars would be normally be doing around us. So as we head into the twisty section here, we've got to try and get back past the Nissan. Slight tap on the back of the Nissan, but it doesn't affect it. We're going to try and get a cut back here, get to the right hand side. I don't know if that contact is enough to spin the Nissan or not. It seemed really odd. I don't know how the physics are here. But if you look in front, we've got a 6-second gap to the car in front. 45 seconds behind the leader though. We'll catch that up on the Nord's Life on the second lap here. Catching up to the Porsche, having a bit of a slide through this right-hander, getting onto the grass, and the car is doing not really car things. Anyway, we'll just get them on the exit, and then we'll then be about 50 seconds behind the leader as we push on through here. We're then going to have a quick look at the weather radar later on the lap, and yeah, rain is starting to come over the circuit now. Maybe I'm a little bit wrong in this, but when I was looking at this in the races, you can see the wipers come on. I thought that blue was the lightest blue on the little bar on the left hand side. So as we see, the leader comes into the pits for intermediates, but I'm sort of looking at that weather radar and I think this is the lightest rain available in the game. The rain doesn't feel too bad, and as you come into the section, you're going to see I'm going to push still quite a bit into this section, braking reasonably late, and it's like, oh yeah, that, you know, that felt fine. you know what? I'm gonna risk it. I am gonna carry on because I don't think it's wet enough for it to come off slick tires. I did also slightly forget there's also intermediate tires, so using my ACC knowledge of where you swap to wets, yeah, I kind of misjudged this one. It was definitely wet enough for intermediates. Maybe not, obviously not wet enough for wets, but we have intermediates here and it was wet enough for intermediates. You also notice the bar just was a little bit wetter here as we got into the Grand Prix loop. And when I hit the brakes, the ABS just kicked in and was like, yeah, full brake force? Nah, you're only going to use about a third of it. And yeah, at this point I realised I had made an awful mistake. Even just trying to pull back onto the circuit there, the car was slowing down over the grass there. I was nearly just pure wheel spin. So yeah, now it's just a case of, right, I've actually got to really crawl around here. There's no real tire temperature thing as well, so it's not like I know, oh, the tires are really cold and I need to be really careful. It's like, oh, I just don't know. And the car's just awful to drive at this point. The Porsche, I believe that is Porsche, comes through for second place. That might not be the Porsche, I can't remember now. But yeah, we'll just be crawling around. We've got a bit of damage now too, which you can see in the bottom left, the flashing red parts. I'm sort of like, yeah, okay, it's damaged. How much is it damaged? And at this point, it's like, yeah, for being my first time on Gran Turismo, a lot of learning taking place here. The inexperience is really showing. We did take the fastest lap of the race though, and he had 11.7, not much slower than my quali lap, despite the final section of the lap. Yeah, despite there being rain for the final section of the lap. As you can see, just crawling, gonna be braking here at the 100-meter board. ABS kicking in, still locking up a little bit, and the BMW is gonna go past. And yeah, as we've gone to the rain, so also look how many people have left the race. We're down to 6 people. We're in P4. The car that originally did get past us is now really struggling themselves. So we'll get past that. It is a Porsche, I was right. Did have to slightly cut the course getting past them as they were sliding around, barely in control of their car. But yeah, as we carry on, Nordschleife, it wasn't too bad. As you can see, we've only lost about a minute, but then yeah, coming into this final section, a little bit too brave, getting reset, and the car just really not liking accelerating off, losing about 10 odd seconds in that moment yet again, and spinning on throttle again. Yeah, this was tough. But if you look in the weather radar, the rain looks like it's going to be stopping. The weather's coming in from the southeast. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to stay out. Which, in hindsight, the pit stops in GT7 are quite short. You know, they're certainly nowhere near as long as they are on ACC. So it probably was worth just pitting for intermediates. But I wanted to risk it. I thought, I've already messed this up at this point. Let's go risky, sort of doubling down on the strategy. As you can see here, having to crawl so much through the Grand Prix loop, which just seemed that much worse than the Nordschleife was. Yeah, I don't know. Those slides are so weird. At this point, I was just like, what's this? Yeah, I was completely baffled. We'll crawl round, and then on lap 4 now, or by halfway through lap 4, here is the rain sort of stopping, but as you'll notice, only about half the circuit is not covered in rain. As you can see, the wipers have turned off automatically. There is no manual wiper control for the real driving sim. And yeah, so the rain has stopped, but of course the track is still wet. And yeah, the Nordschleife this time around was much more of a struggle than it was the last lap. So then at the end of lap 4, I realised I just had to pit for the intermediates. The rest of the race would be in the wet, and as you can see in the top left, there was a 3-minute gap to the car in front, a 6-minute gap to the leader. Yeah, 3 minutes separating all three of us that were still in this race. It really wasn't that much of a race anymore. So yeah, that would be my experience on Gran Turismo 7. We would finish, the leader would be the only one that finishes in the end, as you'll see here. The gaps were so big. But yeah, Gran Turismo 7, I wouldn't say I enjoyed the online races that much. I wouldn't say I got a great experience of them, but yeah, I'm certainly not going to be buying a PS5 myself just for this. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. We're going to have more episodes of this coming soon. I did some of the online time trials as well as the license, S-Class license tests, so you can look forward to them. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.